ahead and start the recording. And let's see here. And I'd like to welcome everybody to today's session. We have with us Tim Lampley, the recruit manager for Report for America.
Hey, everybody. Go ahead.
He should be spotlighted for everybody. Tim he has more than 15 years experience as an award-winning writer, producer, and reporter. Previously, he worked for Black Entertainment Television as a news segment producer for BET Tonight with Travis Smiley. He also served as a field producer and on-air reporter. Other broadcast news positions Tim has held include overnight anchor at KSDK News Channel 5 in St. Louis, general assignment reporter at WSIL TV in Carterville, Illinois, anchor at WMBD TV in Peoria, Illinois, and WTVO TV in Rockford, Illinois. I know whenever I hear my local news stations, those ring a bell. So hopefully that rings a bell for anybody. In 2014, Tim was hired by two national networks as their only on-the-ground reporter correspondent to cover the Ferguson uprising. He has been actively involved in mentoring and assisting emerging journalists across the country, which is why we brought him on today. And Tim, I will let you take it away. Let me know if you have any trouble sharing the screen here and I can help out.
Well, thank you so much for that introduction. Hello, everybody, and I'm so happy that you're able to join us today as we introduce you or reintroduce you to the world of Report for America. And yes, my background is mostly in reporting and television and anchoring, and then pivoting a little bit into entertainment journalism and corporate America before coming to this wonderful organization called Report for America. I'd really like for everyone to maybe introduce themselves and just tell me who you are, because there aren't that many people in the room. So if you can just briefly go around the room and say who you are, you don't have to be on camera.
Hello there, this is Karan Kelly. I am a journalist and producer, most recently the MVJ fellow at NBC 10 in Philadelphia, and I'm very happy to see you.
Hello, I'll go if there's no order. I'm Jennifer, I'm an Army veteran. Prior to being in the military, I thought I was going to go into journalism and then didn't, but it's communications and marketing and PR have been sort of a common thread for me. I live in Washington State and I'm now between jobs. So I thought, maybe I need to look back at what I thought I was going to do. And so I'm a new member of this group and glad to see what's happening. Thank you.
Awesome. Just jump in there. Harry, Karan, whoever. David, Christina, anyone else?
Hi, my name's Harry Christie. I'm a Gulf War veteran, and I am currently a law enforcement officer. I spent 25 years as a federal agent, and now I'm a local government investigator. Always been interested in journalism because I think it overlaps a lot with what I do as an investigator.
Awesome. Anybody else? Next person.
Hi, I'm Amanda. I just had spine surgery. That's the weird thing, right? I am a travel and food lifestyle journalist. I just took a break from work for several years to address brain injury, and I'm coming back to work this year. And I just thought I'd start tuning into these things and finding out what's going on out there. I'm a Navy veteran and happy to be here.
Awesome.
Amanda, I think that's perfect. I'm Noelle. I'm part of the MVJ team, but I've always attended these sessions when I was not part of the team. So I'm excited to see what we have to offer.
We have a few more people here. If you're unable to, you can just put it in the chat.
Hi, I was trying to take myself off mute. Hi, I'm Tiffany James, Army veteran. I've written some articles here and there. Russell Midori was my mentor here. So I'm trying to get back into um, doing reporting and doing more articles.
Awesome. Okay, so why don't we get started here? I'm going to try to share my screen, and I will show you a video that is that includes a lot of our core members that we currently have. And then we'll talk, and then we'll have questions at the end. If you don't mind, please mute your audio until the end.
Report for America has been one of the best experiences that I've had in my journalism career. The level of support that they have provided me, I feel, is something that I'm not sure I would be able to find anywhere else because it really hits full circle.
I really learned early on in my journalism career how impactful local journalism can be. And I really, really value the mission and the work that Report for America is doing. And I cannot imagine myself working anywhere else but a community newsroom.
I basically got to start off my journalism career doing investigative journalism, which was really cool.
Having the support of Report for America, being able to call my regional manager whenever I needed some support, to have workshops and trainings that I could attend. All of those things have been hugely important to me.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a wonderful thing. The fact that there's an organization that really truly cares about seeing young up and coming journalists, succeed in this ever changing business. For me, as an Indigenous person covering Indigenous affairs, I think that it is so important to have people from the community in these roles, because for so long, other people have been telling our stories. A lot of times, a lot of our stories of joy are overlooked because a lot of people or mainstream media and different outlets are coming into our communities and sensationalizing the stories that are within our communities, but then they're leaving out so much of the other side. In our roles as journalists, we're documenting history, and those stories of joy are just as important to document as those stories of accountability.
Awesome. So here is why Report for America exists. And here's what we do know. Local news is declining at alarming levels. That while the need for local reporters remains high, and more importantly than ever, local news is one of the ways that really bind us together as a democracy, as a community. It's really the glue that holds us together. If we look at since 2004, there's been a 57% decline in newspaper newsroom employees. And academic studies show that the collapse of local news has led to lower voter turnout and bond ratings, more corruption, waste, and air pollution. It's like no one is watching the storehouse. We've had hundreds of thousands of local news reporters that have been either laid off, furloughed, or the newsroom closed its doors over the last few decades. Why should you care? Because strong local journalism builds social cohesion. It encourages political participation, and it holds local and state government accountable. Fewer reporters means crucial issues in communities are undercovered. Simple as things like bad drinking water, or inadequate health care, or injustice in the courts, corruption at City Hall, or failing schools, or just stories about solutions that work. So, as a national service program, we place talented journalists, and we call our reporters and our photographers corps members. We place our corps members into local newsrooms to report on those undercovered issues and undercovered communities around the country. It all works by an application process. So we partner with newsrooms around the country, but they apply to us to explain and identify critical coverage gaps. And it's open to newspapers, to radio, to television, to public, nonprofit, and commercial television and print. And then we open the application up to reporters in the month of December each year. And that will, those applications can come in anytime between December 17th and February 3rd. Here's one of the incentives that why newsrooms partner with us. In addition to the fact that we have a full support system, we also help with the funding of that reporter. As mentioned earlier, I spent a lot of my career as a general assignment reporter. Obviously, for those of you who've been reporters, you know that's just more practical for newsrooms to have someone who can cover just anything that may occur throughout a day. When you have a beat reporter, that's someone who's specifically covering a topic. So therefore, if you have breaking news and you have your housing reporter in or your education reporter, they may not be available to cover some breaking news that you might have in the newsroom. So it's just practical to have reporters that are general assignment. We help with that, and we help with newsrooms to shore up their staff by having specific reporters to cover things like environment or politics or education or health or whatever it is that that community feels that it needs. Here's what we do. We'll pay 50% of the salary in the first year for the Corps member, 33% of the salary in the second year, and if there is a third year, 20% of the salary. So you guessed it, it is a 2-year agreement. If you apply and you are offered a job and you accept it, we expect that you will commit to at least 2 years. The third year is if you and the newsroom agree that you'd like to continue the relationship. And here's our selection process. So, or at least what we look for in terms of our selection criteria. So obviously we look for someone who has some journalism background, but someone who can overcome challenges and is an asset to the community and newsroom. We have emerging journalists. We have experienced journalists. Typically, we get a lot of people who apply to us who have 1 to 3 years experience, but all have a strong commitment to public service. We'll look for, in our application, we'll give you a writing prompt. So that's, again, part of us in our search for someone who has a demonstrated passion for writing and reporting and has that background that I mentioned in journalism. Those who are coming out of school, we have some of those who are just graduating, and we look for 1 to maybe 3 internships. I did 2 in my career before I got started. We look for those who can give us this year 4 published clips, not 5. We're looking for 4 published clips, and as long as it's not self-published or schoolwork, it works for us. If it's from their school newspaper, it's fine. For broadcast, we look for reels that would have packages and stand-ups that would show the range and depth of your journalistic work. And of course, if it's audio, you would attach an audio to, let's say, published work, digital published work, you would attach audio. We look for 2 strong recommendations. Professional references is what we're looking for, someone who has knowledge of your talent, someone who perhaps is a supervisor in your newsroom. Local news helps provide truth telling at the level where people are most impacted, and we know that is on the ground in that community, talking with the people in that community, interviewing people, getting them to trust you, getting them to feel free with expressing what their needs are, what kind of stories need to be done in that community. And it's important that you know how to engage with people in the community. There are many benefits to becoming a Report for America Corps member. For one thing, again, you get to choose your beat. That was not an option for me starting out in this business. I took the jobs that were available, and again, that was those that were general assignment reporting. I learned a lot from those things, but it's also a great thing when you're able to choose the beat that you're most passionate about to cover, something like healthcare or energy, state house, climate, or education, or whatever that might be. We also offer training sessions. So this year, we'll offer more than 50 plus training sessions. The year before that, it was 70 training sessions. And these are put on by experienced journalists and other experts that help you to sharpen your skills. We'll also pair those who would like with national mentors, or we'll assign you to one of our regional managers so that you can adjust to that position and have someone that is sort of a liaison between you and your newsroom. I won't get into the community service project because we are going to phase that part out, but I will show you some of our stats from 2024, 2025. We had about 180 plus core members, 150 plus partner news organizations, more core members than news organizations because some of our news organizations have more than one reporter. About 50% were people of color, 62% women, and the median age was 25. More women apply than men, and that might be an industry trend. We just see more women going into the business than men these days. The types of beats that are available, we've talked about, but look at this. There are some others, and that changes sometimes from year to year because we have different newsrooms that might apply and map out what they feel is underserved in their community. For example, if someone has a growing unhoused population and they would think that it's important to do stories about its impact and profiles of that particular beat. Where do core members work? They work in 49 states, Washington, D.C., Puerto Rico, and Guam, rural and urban areas across the country. We serve a mix of undercovered communities and underreported issues, and yes, some of them are called news deserts, where they don't have anyone reporting on essential news throughout the day. People ask a lot of times about our alumni. What happens to those who go through our doors, go through the ranks of Report for America? Well, 82% of Report for America alumni are still working in journalism, and we love that. 92% of those employed in newsrooms are those that are employed in newsrooms. Our alumni are employed at 137 different newsrooms and counting. We really like the fact that a lot of our reporters do stay in the business and that many of them are offered jobs with the newsroom that they work for even after our support is no longer available. Our financial support, that is. We always support our newsrooms. Where alumni work, our alumni work at some of these places, but the list is very long. And this is just a short list of where some of our alumni have worked and work today. And our application timeline. So as I mentioned before, we opened the application timeline. We opened our application window December 17th, and we review them on a rolling basis. Our final application deadline is February 3rd again, and the jobs won't begin until July of 2025. So what happens between February 3rd and July? Well, our first round of interviews happened between February and March. Our second round of interviews happened between March and April, and then we announce our reporters and photographers in May of each year. How we match you up is very much based on the information that you put on your application. For instance, we'll ask you up to 4 or 5 beats that you are interested in covering. If you have preferred newsrooms that you're interested in applying for specifically. If you would like to stay in the area that you're in now, or you'd like to move to some area, maybe perhaps closer to family. But we do ask geographically, where do you want to live and work at this point in time? So you will answer that as well as those other questions, and then we'll match you with the newsroom. Now, understand these are not fellowships and they're not internships. These are full-time positions with a 2-year commitment and a 3rd-year option. And that said, understand you will work for the newsroom. You will not work for Report for America. So our initial outreach to you will just be to sort of go over your application, state that you're perhaps one of our finalists, that we're interested in you, and that we will forward your information to up to 3 newsrooms who will then reach out to interview you. If you are not on our mailing list, please, please, please scan in and get on our mailing list, because that is where you're going to get all the latest information about Report for America, some examples of some of our core members' work, frequently asked questions, and of course, you can always just go to reportforamericas.org to directly get some information. And of course, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. So I will stop sharing and I will open it up for questions.
Sounds like an amazing opportunity, Tim.
I
And
think it is.
if anybody has questions, just make sure you unmute or you can raise your hand.
Now, and I would say one of the things that we sometimes we have a specialized beat that involves veterans, and it's, they are looking for people. Some of the newsrooms, if they have a beat that's similar to that, they are sometimes looking for those who have some experience in terms of covering that beat, or perhaps you, again, as someone mentioned, were part of the military. But that has become one of our searches, to be able to connect with people who have some interest or some experience in the military. And I know that some of what you've seen will focus on some of the younger journalists that are coming out. But again, our applications are open to all ages and all groups. And our jobs are published on our website. So you can actually see all of them. And you can see the beats as they are described and the salary that they offer. So that's it. Any questions? Okay, and I'm going to put in my in the chat here my email. So
A
if you,
question.
okay, go ahead.
So sorry to interrupt you. I think I have a little bit of a delay. My apologies for that. This is Karan, by the way. I'd like to know, I saw that the median age was 25, so thank you for addressing that, because many of us here are re-entering the workforce. We're a little bit older, seasoned in different ways. Can you tell me a little bit about choosing a newsroom? And if your newsroom is not local to you, a place where you would want to go, who takes care of relocation? Is there assistance for that?
In many cases, there is assistance. Your newsroom will assist you. But if not, we have, when I mentioned that, there are regional managers that we assign. We have 6 regional managers. They are all distributed all across the country. And that is something that you can address with a regional manager and say, hey, my newsroom isn't offering moving expenses. I'm interested in knowing if Report for America can offer some moving expenses. And that person will get back to you and say, okay, here's what we can offer. So that's in answer to that question. In terms of of the newsrooms themselves in terms of whether they will in terms of your location where you'd like to be, you would put on your application again where you're most interested in living and working. So if it is where you are now, it's up to four, I think 4 or 5 places. So you would indicate, you would say, hey, I'd like to be in the area that I am now, or perhaps closer to family somewhere, or far away from family. I don't know your family relationship, but you're able to put on your application where you are interested in living and working at this point. And that is how we try to match you with the positions that we have available because of where they are located around the country. And then, of course, the beach that you put down on your application.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
I have one.
Mm-hmm.
I do
Please tell me
not.
who you are.
Oh, sorry.
Just
This is
introduce
Jennifer.
yourself. Thank you.
Hi. I don't come bringing published stories. And I completely get why you would want some samples and proof that somebody wants to print what a Corps member has to say in a journalistic way. Is there anywhere that you can recommend that is open to kind of newer freelance stories so that I or someone could sort of get that experience? Because I know how to self-publish, but you're not looking for my Substack. So, and if it's a matter of just sort of hitting the pavement and talking to people and working it out, that's okay too. I just thought I should ask in case you have.
Nothing comes to mind in terms of a place that I can recommend. In some cases, people have worked for their when they were in the military, there were newspapers or in-house production going on where they use those.
Okay.
Just and again, those were, once when you were in school, you worked for the school, you had stories published in your school newspaper. But yeah, I would say there are a number of freelance sites probably on the internet where people are looking for freelance writers. So maybe perhaps you could go and Google some publications and find out, or just reach out to them directly and find out if they could use, tell them your experience level and if they could use freelancers. It would be great, for you to submit the published work because there are many people who will submit that work that's required. They will submit those published stories. And so you're basically applying, somewhat competing with people who will do those things as well.
Sure, that's fair. Thank you so much.
And Jennifer, I just shared with another member recently there's a Society of Professional Journalists, I believe. They shared like a freelance call of a bunch of places. I can send you the same list that I sent them.
Oh, thank you so much.
SPJ is
Yeah,
wonderful. Yeah.
I would love to look at that. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, so we can wrap this up. And again, I put my email in the chat. So if you have any questions or you think of something after this, feel free to just reach out to me and just say, hey, I forgot to ask you about this. Or if there was something that you wanted to talk to me one-on-one, shoot me an email and just set up some time with me personally. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tim, so much for presenting this and for the opportunity. I think that it's going to be really beneficial to anybody who is seeking this.
Awesome. I hope it was insightful.
Absolutely.
Take care. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.